other words, you believe—
That's right!
If
that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lyney only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would—
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around. Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give— Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
That's right! Lyney wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lyney had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lyney who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary... The deceased's name is Cowell. Lyney's a... Could there have been a third person involved? Halsey is the missing person. The deceased's name is Cowell.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
hear your reasoning, then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowl did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the mist. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So where would the criminal have gone? The deceased's name is Cowl. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal. The deceased's name is Cowl. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal. It would have been tough for both people. No one entered or left. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that. It would have been tough for both. Halsey's clothing was in the.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble?
I see how it is. So this would...
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider it? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have...
If only we knew how Halsey...
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know...
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... The deceased's name is... The vase was not broken by
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality. Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about two completely different things.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps a new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
The items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the Primordial Sea.
The Primordial Sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order!
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results, but we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linny, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the Primordial Sea.
Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic. The water from the primordial sea. Lynette was in the magic box on stage I remember there was something else within... The rope that held the water tank up with... The deceased's name is Cow... The deceased's name is Cowell. Now it seems like the hook rope. The water from the primordial sea. The rope that held the water. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of... Lynette was in the magic box. I remember there was...
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Lynnie's personal effects.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close. Lynnie did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowell then caused halt. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit, and ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that... Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make... Is this the end of the rope?
Oh no. I can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning. I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view,
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linny, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowell. I admit it.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief! Linny even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lily-Ann's perspective. The strange sound. The flower vase. Lily-Ann was afraid that.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon! Having been selected, her panic only hearing the commotion, he did not know that, mistakenly believing that the two broke the with no way of escaping, she... She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the opera house these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Furina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Furina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What, are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lily-Anne was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lily-Anne. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lily-Anne, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent. While there is much in Linny and Lily-Anne's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dared to bring before this court?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected any less of them.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
just going back now? That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Lyney...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui, I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Lyney this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past. Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets, days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the Knave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans. Father, I mean, the Knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. We won't give up on defending our homeland. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
It's all right. I understand. The only thing I can do is relate all this to you. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me.
Bye, Linny!
I think the next one's a trial.
Seems like I should have just stayed in bed today. Surely I should be doing growth spurt by now.
I think the next one's a trial. I think the next one's a trial.
I prefer magic personally. Seems like I should have just stayed in bed today. Surely I should be doing growth spurt by now. Seems like I should have just stayed in bed today. I prefer magic personally.
I think the next one's a trial. I think the next one's a trial.
Surely I should be due a growth spurt by now.
I will lead us to victory.
Stabilize!
Illusion shattered!
Solidify!
There is no escape!
Here you are.
Shine down!
Don't let any of it roll away now.
Let the wind lead. I swear by my sword!
Quit following me. Behold!
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now, right?
Ah. I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only arrived in Fontaine after all. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Well, sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful! In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right then, let's have our farewell meal!
Squall and Fury! The wind rises.
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up. I hope the food here will be to your taste.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while. Paimon's getting excited already.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here a moment.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine sure know how to enjoy life.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit with only one dish per table.
You, sure have your own way of doing things. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that case after all.
Oh, true. Very true. In that case, boss, we'll have another 2 dishes.
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really after.
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that a person could be dissolved like that.
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could never really move forward before.
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking! We were so close to hearing who was behind it.
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm if the trail of clues is cut off. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability, it's just that a different perspective is required in some matters. It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is required at such times in order to produce a breakthrough. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exist. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the kind of problems we solve.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so I doubt you have further interest in this business, right? Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place to do it anyway.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, was to have a chat with the Hydro Archon. I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Furina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while, considering that you missed your chance today.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more, unique ways? Perhaps even methods of, let's say, questionable legality?
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of sketchy ideas. Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Furina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play, don't you think?
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off. We'd have to go learn how to act, and acting's really hard.
right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as I can finally get some sleep.
That might work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is we don't want to get ourselves arrested.
Ah, valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. Perhaps you could... Oh, I don't know. Cut the line when she's on a break. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that she feels quite ashamed about the whole thing.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the iron is hot and all.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention and the cup was right next to Paimon. Would you like to order another?
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, we'll have to blacklist the Fanta here then. If we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the treat, Navia. So full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so... normal. You know, like you.
Okay. As for expenses this month, we're left with...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon again. Bye, Navia!
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact the Spina di Rosula. I'll give your request the highest priority. In any case, I wish you smooth sailing. I'll see you again, partner.
See ya!
Squall Fury! rises.
There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas might have been the last one.
Vache.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? Ugh. That's kinda spooky. Are you sure we don't want to come back in the morning?
Vache? Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kinda hear a voice. It's calling for... Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Vache, are you... my dear Vache? No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? Wait. Who am I? I'm very sorry. I fear I do not know. My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide, never to be recovered. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim. I also remember going to many places. I loved adventure, loved exploring places of peril. No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how dearly he loved me, and I also loved him equally as much. But now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such parting. No! Our reunion no longer has any meaning. There is no way for us to create any new memories. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the waters. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing. Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness, I saw Vache above the surface. His eyes were filled with such sorrow, such longing. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, is that what you call it? Dissolving? If anything, I consider it a form of release. It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace, like the water's still surface. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence. Remember, if you see Vache, tell him not to seek me out any longer.
Wake up! Come on, hurry! Navi is outnumbered!
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Clorinde?
Quick, now's our chance!
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Clorinde. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same, were he alive today.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorinde, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid unnecessary emotional harm.
Sorry, I did not consider your feelings.
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
Huh. I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with the Maison Gardiennage could control them.
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce the law. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true last wish. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorinde. But if you get any ideas, tell me first. I don't much appreciate being followed.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you. Good day, all.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorinde was being sincere with you. If we tried, we could attempt to thaw relations a little.
I know, she's...
Thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorinde who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that every meal we have together shall be a victory feast. As such, we're still partners. There's no need to thank me.
It will take to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill long ago.
All right, you two. That's enough.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow? Ooh, Paimon's even more amazing than she thought!
Yes, all thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So, if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh? Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate, but whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger and hurried here as quickly as I could.
But why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh, now we're caught up in this mess too, aren't we?
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice calling for Vache again. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too, but it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that one step at a time, I guess.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
I think the next one's a trial.
Squall and Fury. The wind rises.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious thus far.
Very good. But let's not let our guard down for now.
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, traveler.
Behold! The wind rises. Behold! The wind rises. Behold! Squall and Fury. Behold! Squall and Fury.
So, this is your base? It's not quite what Paimon imagined.
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his equal.
Your father... he was the previous boss of Spina di Rosula, right? How did he...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial. He died in the duelist's ring.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena. 3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation records. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his... If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything at all.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious when he was accused?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. Everyone's like that. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth. He didn't deserve to have that happen to him.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorinde.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on from.
Ms. Clorinde has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she will not stop either. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena... There was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Afterward, Ms. Cloran told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding as well.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah, Paimon's feet.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
There's no such thing as pure freedom in this world. Even the wind cannot blow on forever. The wind rises.
Paimon slept so well. This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vacher.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vacher person is a key witness in the incident.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten, no matter how much they wanted to. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
The wind rises. Fury.
The waterway here is too...
The Palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Behold!
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters. Huh. This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalet's files are really secure.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make no exceptions.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell. If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Lyney.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Lyney's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
The wind rises.
Please come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take our leave now.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before, We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah, and if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great, let's go then.
Behold!
Flicker.
The wind rises. Huh. Behold! Squall and Fury! Behold!
Whoa! Huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
The wind rises. Squall and Fury.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield. Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Davia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, Demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, Demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict, but once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the Unfaithful were still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters. and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Squall Fury!
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh.
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you, and to all of us.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us. I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your Papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth. The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this from you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should...
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House? Someone got turned into water right in front of us.
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth. And it'll be all the talk for the next several weeks.
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside, and we found some clothes left at the scene. After my partner here put the dots together for me, I feel like we should try to reopen his case. Can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was beat that day, so he was drinking and bantering away with us at the table. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air, so we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring out right after? My first reaction was that Mr. Callis's life was in danger, so I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callis was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look back and forth at each other, not knowing what to say.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But I've never really bought that explanation. Reason being, Mr. Callis had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to the scene. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his person. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned, do you think there was a 3rd person there who was turned into water?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill, so he would also have no reason to bring an extra gun with him. The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a 3rd person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callis ended up with the gun because he seized it from one of the other guys? But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he share the truth with any of us? He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine, and chose instead to prove his honor in a duel. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malus told me a thing or 2, so I think I can understand why he committed to the duel. I'll tell you everything once the whole truth has been revealed.
I understand. Then I'll leave Mr. Callus's honor in your hands, boss. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful epithet has been a thorn in my side since the day it was invented. Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus, even after so many years have passed. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula and live the life I lead today. No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I respect the most. And he'll always be my boss.
Don't worry. I will definitely find the truth. You and all our other comrades at the Spina deserve to know the truth as well. Hey, Thierry!
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia? I've heard that you made quite the name for yourself at the Opera House.
Oh, so you've caught news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the Guards, you know. The way you make it sound, people would think I was sent off to Poisson because I had done something wrong.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson. Callus did a fantastic job running the town, building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions in my way. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job in the city. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these two friends of yours?
You are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first heard of it. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for them.
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question. Do you have the authority to dispatch Gardamex?
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's case.
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the city. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do is get rid of the mecha serial numbers and send them after me.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling them. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your baggage. If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost impossible to keep it a secret. So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though, being in the city...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, thank you for the vote of confidence, Navia. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation. I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support from the guards.
Behold! Squall and Fury!
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for him.
Sure. I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be, so my legs are giving out a bit.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need to stress. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you saw everything too, right?
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House too?
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole murder mystery? I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkards.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation. Everyone loves drama and theatrics.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that humans can dissolve in water?
Yes, I was reminded of your father's case right away. Is that what you're investigating now?
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the other side has already begun to act.
Oh, and what makes you say that?
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea.
If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you who protected us?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Calus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while to recall my memory. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have the time to drink with the guests. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more, see if there are any valuable clues elsewhere.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora. All my wealth comes from Calus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his name.
rises. Quit following me. Squall Fury.
We've talked to all three suspects, purely based on their conversations with me.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out, then my father wouldn't have needed to investigate the case for so many years. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
But where should we start? You're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance. That makes sense.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home that day. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused, he and his family's lives would have been forfeit.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had completed his mission, he'd be of no more use to his boss.
So, perspective would be to turn his back on the Order and seek protection from my father. Makes sense. But without evidence, that's still just a theory. Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as well. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial seawater was revealed.
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite possible. But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Thierry, you say? It is possible that he's figured out a way to convert the Gardamex for personal use. But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to keep that kind of tampering under wraps.
Yeah, had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it with a simple check of the guard's inventory. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.